Hi there, everybody. Welcome to the final Heimdal webinar for 2022. And as you might have already noticed, we've opened up the room with a few minutes in advance just to get comfortable. So you already know the drill. Tell us where you're connecting from. We're super eager to know where the audience is connecting from. I know that the last time we had such a wide spread. We had Europe, Asia, Africa, United States, even New Zealand, which was shocking to me. So if you guys can let us know, okay. And we have people coming in. We have India, we have Hungary, South Wales, UK. Okay, that's super cool.
The question is, Andre, if that's New South Wales, but it's probably just south of Wales. But that's cool. And good to meet everybody. My name is Morten. I'm the CEO here. Andre invited me on, so happy to be here on with Andre for this webinar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And we do have the response to the South Wales. It's I'm afraid not. So you are spot on. And guess what, sir? We also have Asia coming in. We have Thailand, the land of smiles, joining us today. So as expected, we will have a very wide geographical spread on this webinar. Guys, I also want to ask you, actually, ladies and gentlemen, because I see also we have a bunch of ladies joining in. I also want to tell you that we have some animations on the slideshow. So if you guys notice that these are freezing a bit or that you cannot follow the information, just let me know and I have a fresh presentation without the animations, right? So when I start the slides, please let me know so that we can make this experience as nice and as smooth as possible for you. And we also have Trinidad and Tobago joining us. Hello, Donna, welcome.
We're all over the place, literally.
Yes, sir, we are. Exactly as we like to be, right? Spread across all geographies. Okay, let's see the time. So it's sharp. So everybody, as you already know, we like to respect your time. That's why in December we have a short session. And without any more delay, we want to go into the session. Since this is a public webinar, I do need to tell everybody who is Heimdal. Now, Heimdal is a Danish cybersecurity company that currently services customers across the globe with 9 products, and you will notice a change to my slide. You will notice a golden product in the lower right corner. This is the product that we are releasing in early 2023. And this is the product that literally unifies and glues our stack together even more than just the one agent and one console. And as mentioned, we are currently servicing customers around the globe, and the current number is 1100,000 plus. Now
11,000, Andre.
11,000. Sorry,
it's a tough number, I know.
I'm a bit excited to have you on. So yeah, thank you for the correction. Now, the agenda for today is going to be easy. We're going to have our CEO introduce himself. Then we're going to look a bit at where is cybersecurity right now, what's happened in 2022. Then we're going to look at where this is going and what you need to know about it. How do you stay ahead of it? And last but not least, which is the most interesting part of the session, we are going to have a Q&A with the CEO. We did check all the questions that you guys asked, and we will look at some grouping of the questions. And in case we miss one, don't worry about it. All questions will be responded. But for the sake of respecting everybody's time, we will take as many as possible now. With that being said, I want to pass the mic a bit to our CEO so that he can say a few words about himself. Sir?
Yeah, good to meet you, everybody, and thank you for joining in this afternoon. For some, it's going to be morning, I can understand. For some, it's going to be evening. But a pleasure meeting all of you. So my name is Morten. I'm the CEO here at Heimdal. Been here from the start, and also the founder, of course. Heimdal being from 2014. As we kind of put on the slide here, what we try to do with cybersecurity here at Heimdal is to first of all make it simpler. So the product has a really nice and easy to use layout, but at the same time we try to be very disruptive. So we've launched a number of very disruptive technologies throughout the years. We were the first to lead on the ransomware charge back in 2000. I think it was 15. Might not have noticed at the time, but we were actually the first. We've then kind of innovated a number of technologies across the board within privileged access management, and now also what we're going to be showing you today as well at the end, for sure, will be a game changer. So that's kind of my person in a nutshell. I won't bog you down too much with more background on me.
Thank you, sir. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as mentioned, before we look at 2023, it's also important to see exactly where did 2022 leave us. So for that, I actually want to initialize a poll and ask you a question. So you should be seeing on the screen in a few seconds a question. What do you feel were your biggest IT or cybersecurity challenges in 2022? And we have a few of them. We have time to patch or patching in general. We have lack of visibility and control over network traffic. Again, lack of visibility and control over applications, managing admin rights, staying ahead of the ransomware threat. So if you could just tell us exactly what was your biggest pain point over here, because it's important to understand exactly where did you look at, because all of these are pain points. And if you look across the web, a lot of people are complaining about stuff like this, but I really want to see what the audience says, what this session audience has to say.
It's really neck and neck, huh, Andre? I see almost all the voting is in, but it's close on some of these.
Yes, sir, and we do have the two of them trying to catch the lead. And yes, I will just give it 5 more seconds and close the poll and share with everybody. Okay, closing poll and sharing the results with everybody. So the majority, if I'm seeing this correctly, because I'm seeing this in a small window, is staying ahead of the ransomware threat, which is one of the biggest problems that we're facing right now, not just due to the fact that we risk losing our data, but they're also doing that triple extortion, which that's a big problem. They're extorting you in the first part to give the money or the Bitcoin for the decryption. They're extorting you with the fact that they will release your data on the dark web for sale. And last but not least, they're looking in your data and contacting partners or customers of yours and telling them that if they don't pay, they will share their data as well. So it's super dangerous. But the good thing with all of these is that if we do organize properly, we can actually stay ahead of all of these. And I'm quite sure that you know methods, and you know we have methods for that. So with that being said, I'll continue the slide sharing. I will hide the poll. And since you guys are active right now, let's also look at some facts about the 2022 threat landscape. And again, I would need you to be active in this one. So I'm going to ask you, use the chat, tell us how many websites do you think were hacked on a daily basis in 2022?
And this is of course super interesting, Andre, as well, isn't it? Because it's keen to see what the crowd answers, but I think it'll be a quite wide. Well, I know the answer, don't I? So I think it will be a quite wide range of answers here. But let's see.
Okay. We have an interesting number, many. So yeah. By the way, guys, this is how many are hacked per day, not per the entire year. I'll need to reverse some mathematics here with the 15 million, 3 million, 1 million. But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. So we do have a lot of responses. 100 per day. We have 150 per day. 300,000, 10, 20,000. But the actual statistic close to year end is 30,000 websites hacked daily. These could be the websites that you access on a daily basis, like I don't know, your Netflix, your HBO, your CNN, right? These are hacked and they're used to leverage attacks versus you, with the owners of the website not even noticing in real time. Now, another fact that we wanted to look at and ask you is how many new pieces of malware are detected on a daily basis? What's your opinion on this one? How about you, sir?
Yeah, well, again, I know the answer, Andre, don't I? But I think here, let's see what the crowd says really quickly. I think it could be interesting to move a little bit at pace of these, not give them too long to think, just to see what comes out the other end. Because I mean, there's definitely lots of movement in the malware space at the moment. But yeah, we'll come on to that in a second, because this all ties into something really interesting we want to delve into, I think.
We do have people doing similar responses as the last question, but over here the answer is a bit shocking. It's over 500,000 pieces of new malware detected daily. This is taking all the vendors into account, all the intelligence databases. So it's shocking, right? How many new things are coming out in the cybercrime world. Now the next one, and I'm just gonna give you guys 10 seconds to respond to this. And yes, Gary, you're shocked about the answer, but this is the statistic that is close to year end. How many organizations do you think reported a breach, an attack in 2022? And this is in percentage. So guys, 10 seconds, tell me exactly in percentage, how many do you think were reporting attacks in 2022?
And you did say breaches, so just we need the crowd to be sure that it's actually attacks, yeah. Because of breaches you need to report, at least in Europe, you need to report that to the data protection agency. So slight difference. Okay,
it's attacks. Okay, so we have a lot of people voting in for 25, 60, 65, 80%. And the guys that are going at 60, 65 might know something. It's 64% of the organizations worldwide have reported attacks in 2022. And the last question before we look at some graph statistics, how often do you think a web attack takes place in 2022? This is the last one, and as mentioned, we are just gonna spend a few seconds on it. Every minute, every 5 minutes, and the answer is every 39 seconds. So it's under 1 minute. And Alf, you're almost there. You had 30 seconds on it. So thank you as always for being so interactive. This is why we actually love doing these sessions with you, because just presenting something and not talking to the audience is not something that we actually like doing. Now, with that being said, we're going to move into some statistics that we managed to extract about global data breaches in millions. We're also looking at number of malware attacks in billions, as well as number of ransomware attacks in millions. So everybody, as you can see, these are actually moving at an alarming rate. We had, if I put a laser pointer, just a second over here, we had over here, if we notice, Q4 is usually something that spikes, right? So in Q3, this is the official number reported. We had almost 15 million global data breaches. Now, with a data breach, you know what comes out of that. It's actually not a fun thing to watch. Now, we are waiting for the Q4 results, but I'm estimating with what's happening on the globe right now that we will be around 17 million. And also Q1 2023, usually in Q1, we either see a drop or we either see a huge spike. Now, having Q1 a drop last year, I'm actually expecting this to have a spike right now. So I'm curious to see what's your opinion in the audience, right? Let us know. And also, I would like to ask my star guest in the session, what's your opinion, sir, when you look at the global data breaches? What do you think will happen, and why, most important?
Yeah, I think to the point you're calling out, Andre, let's see what the crowd responds as well. I mean, what we definitely see happening, in my view, the trend is certainly increasing. I think the pressure on IT managers at the moment is increasing as well, simply because the volume of incidents they need to respond to is overwhelmingly high. And then at the same time, you'll need to respond to that information across a multitude of platforms. So that makes the job ever so more challenging than it was last year. As you correctly call out, the number last year wasn't that big in Q1. But if we look into the Russia-Ukraine war and the need to fuel financials for that as well, it has just gone up one way since, and that's directly through the roof. So we expect that trend. I would expect that trend to go up through Q1, even into Q2 next year as well.
And the funny part is that the entire audience that responded to this are actually of the same opinion. Everybody says it's going to be a spike because funds are very tight across the globe due to what's the financial situation, the inflation going up, and also the criminal competition is starting to be more and more predominant. Now, if we look at,
and you'll have a second point to that actually, or a second follow-up point for that, because at the moment we've seen in good chunks of the EU and the US that businesses have started to lay off employees. So there'll be a bigger crunch, I think, on the economy as well, which will further fuel the malware economy to go up even further. So that is going to be a really interesting Q1, I think, where we all need to hold on to something that can that can stick to the wall. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, and we also have Gary coming in, also saying that we should also take into account the more and more sophisticated methods of attack that are used by the cybercrime families. So it's going to be interesting. Now, looking at malware attack in billions, right now, if we look at the graph over here, we will notice that we have a 2022 H1, which is about 2.8 billion. Now, my prediction for this is that it's gonna be at least the same amount in 2022 H2. It's still not in yet as an official number, but again, there's a lot of attention going towards the Russia-Ukraine war, and cybercrime has been a bit diverted. Now, about 2023, I actually think that we might even see a big increase with at least 1 billion extra versus the previous years. So I would like to ask both the audience and you, Morten, what do you think about this? Is malware still being one of the main concerns? Is also malware-less attacks coming up as a trend? What do you think, sir?
Yeah, definitely we see a lot more malware-less attacks. Actually, we did use statistics for this source here, but internal data shows exactly the same, that there's an increase in malware overall. It's not as big as it was before, but overall the shift to kind of malware-less attacks, as Andre indicated, is definitely increasing. And that's simply because the ability to detect malware, traditional malware, is getting to be pretty good. So you need to find another way into the infrastructure. And that's definitely using malware-less attacks, which could be exploits and things like that to gain full access to machines. So yeah, that's definitely a trend. Definitely. That the sophistication, I think it was Gary who mentioned, you mentioned that, called that out as well. Sophistication is increasing in the attack sphere.
Yep. And that's super interesting because people are also are voting on malware and phishing, malware as a service growing, more attacks. We actually see a lot of people in the audience saying that even if malware is already being detected, that there will be more attacks, not less. And last but not least, we have Rob saying something super intelligent. People are still the simplest attack vector that will be used in 2023. And we do agree with that. So that's why we want to at least make things in a way that this is at the minimum risk. And last but not least, we have the ransomware graph, in which we can see number of ransomware attacks in million. We have the 2022 H1 data. Now, H2, going by a simple prediction, a doubling of the H1. However, I do think that 2023 will hit even harder over here. So I'm expecting to go around 800 million. Again, audience and Morten, what do you think about this, about ransomware attacks?
Yeah, on the ransomware specifically, I think this is really interesting. It's true the number has kind of on an average declined throughout H1, but if you look at the payouts, they've just gone through the roof. And that means they've been a lot more targeted in hitting bigger businesses who have more capital ready rather than going for the small fish. And that's not to say the small fish have not been hit, but the smaller businesses are more inclined to get a smaller breach than a bigger one. And they've been kind of used as cannon fodder for the bigger campaigns that have been run out towards the bigger businesses. That's also a point I'd like to touch on later, but there's no doubt that the cyber criminals are willing to go to bigger risks of completing their objective in the coming year, for sure.
That's interesting, and we do have everybody being on the same opinion. They're more targeted, even if they might be fewer, they are more targeted. So, sir, with that being said, I would like to pass to you so that you can let us know what are your 2023 predictions.
Yeah, love to take the crowd through these, and I'll try to move a little bit at pace so we leave a bit of time for the questions at the end. So let's bring up the first one, Andre, which is a product view, you can say. So my first point for 2023 is that we'll see point solutions, that's point security solutions, die off. That means the use of individual products like a standalone antivirus or a standalone email security product. Could also be a standalone patching tool. We believe in much bigger degree that going forward, customers will use a unified offering. Could be Heimdal, could also be something else. But we definitely see that from all the customers that I'm sure everybody on this call would agree that none of you have probably had more time on your hands in 2022 than you did in 2021. And hence there's a need for doing something slightly more innovative in terms of creating more time on your hands. Also because there is a scarcity of resource as well, and now also a scarcity of capital. So it's a very interesting pinch on IT for sure. Let's take the next one, Andre, which is that in our view, automation and visibility will increase in importance. That unfolds in two ways. Not only will you try to bring more solutions together, but because of the speed of movement in what you're working against, not just with more employees, less hands to do it, less money to do it as well, you'll need to also automate some of that work and get it offloaded. Again, that could be patching, it could be threat hunting, it could be the ability to get everything into one place. Where today you might need to kind of put on a SIEM or get other tools to do that kind of combination work for you, bringing visibility to the data. But it still takes time. So you need to find routes to reduce the time spent in IT overall. And I definitely see that being a push as well, that the IT managers in the coming year, the CIOs as well for that matter, will try to push to reduce time spent on IT itself. Let's jump to let's jump to the next one. And this is, of course, a very delicate view to share in a webinar. But I do honestly think that if any of our partners are on this call, I do honestly think that MSPs are going to be a prime target. We already see that a little bit now. So we've seen some of the bigger US MSPs getting hit very hard in the latter parts of the year here. We do expect that to, and I personally expect that to spread across to the mainland Europe as well, where of course our biggest representation is. So this is I wouldn't say a fair warning because that is not, but it's a piece of advice to our MSP partners and resellers that they need to stay very alert and definitely invest into the cybersecurity piece, because there is no doubt that you will be the #1 target. Most of you access an average of 100 to 200 customers. So it's an easy way of gaining access to 200 customers in one attack in one go. Let's take the next one, Andre, which is that attacks or attackers will definitely continue to get more bold. So in line with the point we just called out before, what we see as a trend already, and I think that will just be amplified, is that attackers are looking for bigger payouts. And as they look for bigger payouts and are more targeted, they're willing to go to greater lengths of risk to get to that final objective, which is, of course, in the end, the payout. Triple extortion also, as Andre kind of lead it off the call with, is also a hyping trend. But that also means you can go to lengths in terms of how much you spend per attack. So let me try and give an example, which is we recently saw on a customer, not only the time that had been spent when we kind of investigated the attack was over 3 months to penetrate an infrastructure, but then leading into actually defending against that attack when it started kind of unfolding, then also gets increasingly cumbersome because they'll try to come at you from multiple angles. The logical one again, of course, being the internal IT admin, the IT team, but then all of a sudden also it's the DDoS on the website at the same time. So you just there's much more complexity in the defense that you need to leverage because there's much more complexity in the attacks being deployed. So yeah, money spent on this is definitely increasing, and hence the attitude is also bolder. And then also my view, the final point here is we believe the customers will need to act more radically with new technology to combat the market change, which is that all these points above, that attackers are getting bolder, there's more money being spent on kind of getting entry. And when we say customers, that of course also applies to MSPs and resellers. You need to find a different route as opposed to the one you're taking today, because it's too cumbersome, it takes too long. So you need something that's smarter and a lot faster. So with that said, Andrew, I think there was only a couple of minutes, which I think is good speed there. We'll be very quick on this slide. Again, we want to try and get to the QA piece, but we just wanted to highlight to people what is changing in the coming year with Heimdal. So there'll probably be quite a few existing Heimdal customers on the call as well, who knows the offering. So as you all know, we do anything pretty much from DNS to email fraud. We have the widest offering in the market that is not about to change. We're overhauling all of the offering, but at the same time, we're launching new technology as well. Can you just fast forward 100, please? So the two new points coming in is we'll focus on the next gen AV first. We'll be launching a incremental engine on top of the AV we already offer, which will be a very complex, sophisticated attack engine. I'm not going to go into detail on this call, but it will definitely enable customers to do some very detailed threat hunting and some very strong defensive, still reactive capabilities, of course, but also some leading into the proactive space, like are people trying to compromise your credentials? Is a lateral movement in the network? Are you being attacked by a state-backed sponsor? All of these things will go into that engine, which will definitely elevate the capabilities into a much more sophisticated product. And then we're launching something absolutely revolutionary, highlighted there on the bottom right. I believe we also have a slide on that afterwards. But in detail, we're launching a platform that will allow you to not only unify all the data from the product, which you can of course already do today with our security center, but then on top of that, it will allow you to automatically compute all the risk. So now we're leaning into some of these problems that we're hearing from customers in terms of shortness of resource, shortness of capital, and then shortness of competent people to execute. This platform here will help you do all of those things in one go. At the same time, will also help you enabling actioning of those problems that you're facing, which will be absolutely unique. So the ability to compute all the risk in one platform and at the same time action it will come out very shortly. Let's take the next ones, Andre, because these are just a couple of enhancements we're also doing. So in terms of the enhancements, we're working heavily on enhancing, especially the privilege elevation and delegation management. Also, the patching will be enhanced, and then we're working on some minor enhancements, you can say, in the application control, email security, email fraud, and the XDR and the unified security center as well. So you say the core focus going into next year are these two new products: the XTP module on top of the AV, the threat hunting and analytics center, threat hunting and action center, sorry, which are absolutely revolutionary products coming to the market. And then we're doing some more extensive work on the vulnerability patch and asset management and the privilege elevation delegation tool internally as well. Let's jump on to the next one, Andre. I'm sure there'll be lots of questions. This is then the threat hunting and action center. We'll just spend 1 minute here, and I can then only advocate for people to maybe seek more information from our website. It's a product we're launching very shortly. There's a teaser on the website already. This is going to be radically different to anything you'll find in the market, in the sense that it is a combined SIEM and SOAR. Then some very knowledgeable people will then call out and saying, well, that already exists in the market. I can get Azure Sentinel from Microsoft. It does exactly the same. Absolutely no, it does not, because this platform stands out by automatically computing all the risk from all the modules that rolls into it. At the same time, it scores it against the MITRE matrix. At the same time, it allows you to automatically or manually action all those risks from the platform, which no other platform will allow you to do. So the advantages here against a traditional system is, one, it sits on top of the existing Heimdal portfolio. That means when you turn it on, there's 0 time to configure, which there would be with the SIEM tools. With the SIEM tool, you need to configure it. Number 2 is the 0 time to analyze, which is also a very, very big differentiator because it does all of the analysis for you. So even within a SIEM portal, you need to configure the rules to do the risk analysis. So make no mistake, this is going to kind of redefine how people work with cybersecurity. Then thirdly, it gives you the ability to action. So no other platform in the market will allow you to action directly from the analytics module. And we can of course do that because it's built directly on top of the Heimdal stack. So literally this will allow you to do anything that you can do with the products that we offer, which means anything from doing patching on exploits to being able to isolate a machine and quarantine a file, elevate privileges on a device, de-escalate privileges on a device, release emails, see emails that are being processed. You can even see where the devices are communicating to and from across the globe. It's going to be an absolutely mind-blowing tool for everybody, I'm sure.
Before we move on, we have somebody saying, "Wow, when can we get our hands on this?" So
what the ETA? And everybody's asking me the same. We are expecting that we can start demoing it very, very shortly. We'll probably allow the customers to start having hands-on with it early January as well. We are absolutely excited to bring this product out because it is going to be so radically different to anything else you can find in the market. So I would say you can start tinkering with it early, mid, maybe late January, because it is still in development, of course, but that will be a realistic timeline. We are using it already internally with some phenomenal results following that as well.
Thank you, sir. So should we still stay on the XDR SOC?
No, let's skip that one, Andre. I just wanted to highlight to people that we're renovating that as well, in line with it. But I see time is almost up, so let's jump to the QA piece maybe, because that, I think, is also what people are here for, and
Perfect.
then we can send out the recording.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we will do a short extended of 4 or 5 minutes maximum. Now, before moving to that, I just want to let you know that you can download the data sheets for both the Unified Intelligence Security as well as the Threat Hunting and Action Center from the handouts space. Next, before we jump into the Q&A, I also want to announce the first 2023 webinar. It's going to be 2 sessions, and everybody will receive an email with the link, and we'll also have it in the chat very soon. And now the Ask the CEO part, which is what you all registered for. I do believe we covered all of these questions and all the questions from this particular space already. So we're going to jump to the next slide. And sir, I do want to ask you over here, one of the questions stood out, which is this one. Why is XDR from EDR, NDR, and HDR hype different from a SOC operated with a full SIM, SOAR, AI ops, and full stacks integrated together?
It's a very long question, isn't it, Andre? Well, in my view, I mean, the cool thing about XDR is it brings kind of all of it together in one. And then if you look at that platform, which we just shown you there, I think the really, really cool thing is with that platform is it will allow you to do all of that yourselves as well. So for those who are looking for XDR and currently considering outsourcing it, that platform will allow all of our partners to run their own SOC for their customers if they want to. But at the same time, it can also allow mid-market customers and enterprise customers to run their own without having to outsource this. So I think it's going to be a mind-blowing offering in the sense that it will bring kind of all the EDR, NDR, HDR together in one box. It will do all the AI for you and then literally leave the actioning to you or for you to automate in the platform as well. And you don't need to integrate anything into it. It just does it right off the bat, which is, again, completely different to anything you can find in the market. So, and this kind of ties to the lower ones as well. And just to be clear, I mean, Andre spent quite a bit of time flushing out these questions before the webinar that people send in. So, and thank you for that as well.
My pleasure, sir. So next, I believe we did cover what's Heimdal's roadmap, or what's our biggest challenge, what's our next step. But one of these questions stands out. Are there any incoming big changes for Heimdal that need to be done in the next 5 years?
Yeah, and that's also a great question. As kind of we just leaned into here, we're on the verge of putting out something radical / we kind of already launched it. I think that will be, if you look at the market and where Heimdal sits now, I would definitely say we have a 2-3 year technology advantage. Again, the closest alternative would be Azure Sentinel to what we're just bringing out. But Azure Sentinel is nowhere near that kind of capability where it can basically do the work for you if you wanted to, or it can help you do the work at least. So I think, yeah, the next 5 years, it will bring more of that, of what we've just brought out. And I hope that people will still be with us in 5 years and we can look back on this webinar and hopefully say I was right. A lot has happened in the last 5, but I do honestly believe that platform there will lead the mindset of how people work with cybersecurity the next 2-3 years for sure. And then as we refine it, hopefully that can extend into a 5-year period.
Perfect.
It will basically bring the game back into the hands of the defender rather than the game being in the hands of the attacker.
And I do believe we actually have this question coming on the next slides. Will this threat of cybersecurity ever subside once companies wake up to the risk and apply the appropriate countermeasure? Basically, will this cat and mouse game between cybersecurity and cybercrime ever subside?
But probably won't. But I think again it will radically change with what we're launching now in terms of what we can actually enable people to do. Is it going to be perfect right off the gate? No, clearly it's not. But I think it is going to be radically different. So you don't need to, if you take the car methodology, you don't need to wear a seatbelt as much anymore as you did before. It will actually allow you to do the driving rather than letting the attacker do the driving. You'll be able to spot them a lot faster as they try to penetrate your infrastructure, and the system will help you do that. So it's almost a self-driving Tesla, I would say, if you wanted to put it like that.
Perfect. And then we're just going to jump to the last slide. And since we're in the last minute, I promised an extended of 5 minutes. We want to ask you, sir, which is the model that you see the strongest in Heimdal compared to the competition?
Yeah, I can only choose one, huh?
That's awesome.
I mean, yeah, that's great. I'm probably gonna have to choose 4. I mean, we know we're not the market leader in all of them, clearly. I would probably call out 4 where I do see us being the market leader. Some of them we're polishing as well because we know we need to continue to polish. The DNS module for sure is way beyond what in my view you can find in the market. It's the only fully automated DNS product in the market. It's fully AI driven, so that makes it really stand out. The patching, personally, I think is great. We know in that area we need to work on the vulnerability reporting, and we're doing that now to get it up to some of the really nice platforms to do great reporting. We already have the data about what's vulnerable, so it's just really silly we don't present it in the best possible way. That's being worked on. On the ransomware module, the feedback we get on it is great. It stops all the unknown ransomware samples we've tested on it. I'm not saying we don't need to refine it. We are working on the false positive ratio there. And then on the PDM, I think it's great. There's a couple of things, as I've called out before, that we're ironing out, but it is definitely on the feature side, it is the market leader in there for sure.
Perfect. And with that being said, more of a personal question: what does a cybersecurity CEO do in their spare time? If you
I love doing rowing on a rowing machine, and I love biking. So I try to stay reasonably fit, and it helps us get all the new ideas as well when you're not just sitting in front of the computer. So those would be my kind of 2 preferred choices. Going out and being very active is a preferred choice.
Perfect. Then with that being said, we wish everybody a safe and secure 2023, and all the questions that we did not get to answer, even in the grouping, I will get back to you guys with the answers from Morten. So thank you, everybody. And again, thank you, Morten, for joining us on this session.
Thank you for everybody's time, and thank you for spending 30 minutes up until Christmas with us here.
Goodbye, everybody.